In this forecast, two waves may lead to the potential for severe weather for the Central Plains and Gulf Coast. Heavy snow is possible for a large portion of the northern U.S. A roller coaster of temperatures should keep temperatures ranging from well above average to freezing. Everything you need to know on Project Gladiator. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Project Gladiator Weekly Overlook. Today I'll be covering the weather for the week of March 3rd until around March 10th. So let's get right into it and take a look at the Jetstream pattern and generally where and what we are expected to see for the potential for severe thunderstorms and our snowstorms. So let's take a look at what we are expected to see for the first wave that I was mentioning in the intro here. So we are expected to see a trough that is going to advance to the north in the northern United States here. That is going to lead to the potential for a lot of heavy snowfall for a lot of the northern central plains and a lot of the Midwest. However, the risk for severe thunderstorms should be mainly around here. And the majority of our forcing should be further off to the west. So the majority of the forcing is kind of going to be out of the way. And that is going to overall limit the potential for severe thunderstorms on the 4th. But we should definitely see a cold front that is going to push out of the north here. And that is going to trigger the risk for severe thunderstorms. And then we should also see a dry line that's going to develop across eastern Texas. And that's going to lead to the potential for severe thunderstorms for a lot of the Mississippi River Valley on the 4th. This system, as it progresses across the southeastern United States, is going to lead to the potential for severe thunderstorms, as it is expected to pull a ton of heat and moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico here, and that is going to be able to fuel the risk for severe thunderstorms for a lot of the Gulf Coast. We shouldn't really see a whole lot of a risk for severe thunderstorms extend up towards northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, or northern Georgia, and we shouldn't see it extended to Tennessee, but it should be mainly across the coast regions and potentially across northern Florida as well. This second wave that I was mentioning, we are expected to see it take kind of the route of the first trough, and that is going to progress mainly across the southern United States again. And that's kind of going to do the same thing. This is expected to pull a ton of heat and a ton of moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico, just like the first one, and that's going to lead to the risk for severe thunderstorms for a lot of the Gulf Coast states. But again, we shouldn't see the risk extend anywhere above Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and we shouldn't see it extend into Tennessee. Let's take a look at our composite reflectivity so we can take a look at what the timing is going to look like for our rain showers, the risk for severe thunderstorms, and our snowstorms. So let's start off taking a look at our composite reflectivity for that first wave and the risk for severe thunderstorms, the risk for our snowstorm, and the widespread rain showers that we are expected to see with that. We are expected to see a lot of heavy snowfall for a lot of the northern United States, mainly across Montana, northern South Dakota, northern Minnesota, and North Dakota. We should see a ton of heavy snow, mainly for today, but that may extend into the Midwest on the 4th. However, on the 4th, we are expected to see the majority of the risk for severe thunderstorms instead of snowstorms, and these are the two main areas that we are expected to be watching for the risk for severe thunderstorms, mainly across the Mississippi River Valley and the Midwest on the 4th. As we go into the 5th, we are expected to see that progress mainly across the southern United States and the southeastern United States, as I was mentioning, as kind of a cluster of severe thunderstorms, as well as some very widespread rain showers around that. And we should see some rain showers that are going to be back towards the north, across the Ohio River Valley and down into Tennessee. And then as we move into the 6th, we are expected to see that progress out into the Atlantic Ocean, and this is going to develop cyclone genesis, and then we should see a continuation of our rain showers as it moves into the New England corridor, and that's going to turn into snow as it moves further north on the 7th, and then we may also see the potential for a lot of heavy snowfall for a lot of the northern United States, for the northern Midwest and the northern central plains on the 7th as well. As we move into the 8th, we are expected to continue to see that snow move into the Midwest, and then we are expected to see a very large amount of rainfall extending from anywhere across the Mississippi River Valley into the Ohio River Valley, the Tennessee region, and the southeast, with the majority of the heavier rain showers being further down to the south. And then we are expected to see that progress into the 9th across the southeastern United States, and the main low pressure system is expected to be further back towards the north, and that's going to lead to a band of very heavy snowfall for a lot of the Midwest, potentially across Michigan, maybe even back down to the Midwest, but mainly across Michigan and the New England corridor on the 10th. And then that should continue to progress into next week, as we may see some snow circle back around for a lot of the New England corridor in Ohio River Valley. Taking a look at our temperatures and mainly focusing on how our temperatures are expected to be affected this week by these two waves that we are expected to see. Let's start off with the 3rd and the 4th, where we are currently seeing record highs, where we are seeing temperatures that may be getting very close to 90, but mainly getting up to the mid-80s across Texas, with very widespread temperatures in the 60s and the 70s, extending up into Michigan and parts of the New England corridor. That is expected to cool down at least a little bit for a lot of the northern half of the United States, the New England corridor, and a lot of the northern central plains and Midwest on the 6th with that first cold front. However, a lot of the southern United States should cool down a little bit, but should remain relatively warm. It's going to be with that second wave that we are expected to see that clear out into the 8th. The 7th, the 8th, and the 9th, we are expected to see that second cold front, and that is going to clear out the rest of the heat that is going to be stationed across the southeast. But you can tell that heat is expected to recover really quickly for a lot of the southeastern United States, the deep southeast, and a lot of the central plains. It should cool down. We shouldn't really see temperatures that are going to be getting into the mid-80s and the high 70s, but it should definitely not be as warm as what we are seeing on Sunday and Monday. Taking a look at our risk for severe thunderstorms, we're going to be taking a look at our surface instability, or in other words, the fuel that we are expected to see across the U.S. for severe thunderstorms, and how that is expected to affect the risk for severe thunderstorms. As of right now, we are currently looking at almost every day this week is expected to have at least something as far as the risk for severe thunderstorms. So let's take a look at where the fuel for severe thunderstorms is expected to be. So starting off with the 4th, we are expected to see a very large plume of instability that is going to extend across a lot of the Midwest, the Mississippi River Valley, and down into the southern central plains, which is going to outline the risk for severe thunderstorms that we are expected to see on the 4th. That is going to be cleared out by that cold front, but as that low pressure system progresses along the southern United States, we are expected to see at least something as far as some instability and some fuel for severe thunderstorms across the deep southeast, even if it's not going to be a whole lot. So we shouldn't really see as big of a risk for severe thunderstorms across the southeast as we are expected to see on the 4th. The 4th is probably going to be the biggest risk for severe thunderstorms this week. However, again, we do have those other days that we may be watching for. And then for that second wave, we are expected to see a little bit of an instability return. It is going to be much harder for instability to return in such a short time period between the first wave and the start of the second wave. We aren't expected to see a whole lot of instability for a lot of the central plains on the 7th with that second risk for severe thunderstorms. However, we should at least see something and maybe more of a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms. And then again, we are expected to see at least something as far as instability and fuel for severe thunderstorms across the deep southeast, and that's going to allow for the risk of some more marginal severe thunderstorms on the 9th and into the 10th as well as the 8th. Taking a look at our supercell composite, what this does is it kind of gives us a general idea of what the risk for severe thunderstorms may look like across the U.S. this week. It doesn't give us a percentage, but again, it can give us a general idea of what the intensity and overall risk for severe thunderstorms may look like. So let's start off with the 4th, which is probably going to be the biggest risk for severe thunderstorms this week, and we have very indicative supercell composites extending across a lot of the southern central plains, outlining the risk for severe thunderstorms into the Midwest and Mississippi River Valley on the 4th. Again, we should see the risk for severe thunderstorms on the 4th. As we move into the 5th, again, there's not a whole lot of supercell composites indicating all that much of a risk for severe thunderstorms, so overall the risk for severe thunderstorms may be very low to potentially non-existent. Again, we're going to have to watch for the risk for severe thunderstorms across the southeast. However, the same thing does stand for the second wave for severe thunderstorms, where we could see overall a lower end risk for severe thunderstorms because we don't really have all that much heat return or all that much moisture return in such a short time period between the first wave and the second wave. But supercell composites are indicating at least something of a risk for severe thunderstorms across the Central Plains and potentially back into the Mississippi River Valley on the 7th. And then as we move into the 8th, you can see that supercell composites are supporting the risk for severe thunderstorms for the deep southeast on the 9th, the 8th, and into the 10th. Taking a look at what the SPC currently has issued for the risk for severe thunderstorms for this week, for today we do have a marginal threat for the Florida Peninsula for the small risk of hail. However, this is for today and I'm kind of not really too concerned about it. However, for the 4th, we are currently looking at a very large marginal threat, which is extending anywhere from the southern Central Plains across a lot of eastern into central Texas, as well as the Mississippi River Valley into the Midwest. The risks for tomorrow, we are mainly looking at the risk for potentially a small tornado risk for some portion of the Midwest, mainly across southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois there. And then for our damaging wind threat, we are seeing a very large 5% damaging wind risk for a lot of the marginal threat area. Same with our hail risk. And then taking a look at our day 3 outlook, which is for the 5th, we do have a marginal threat for the Mississippi River Valley into parts of eastern Texas there. And then as we do take a look at our day 4 to day 8 outlooks, we don't really have a whole lot issued. We don't have any areas issued, but something I do want to note is that from day 4 to day 7, we currently have an indication that the risk for severe thunderstorms is there, but overall predictability may be too low. Taking a look at our snowfall totals, one major area that we are expected to see outside of anywhere that isn't the Rockies is going to be the Rockies itself. We are expected to see a very big risk for heavy snowfall for a lot of the Rockies and potentially for the Pacific northwestern coast there. However, we typically do see a whole lot of snow this season or this time of year, so I'm typically not really too concerned about snowfall across the Pacific coast. However, we are looking at the potential for very heavy snowfall for a lot of the northern Central Plains in the northern Midwest, mainly from Minnesota, Montana, Wisconsin, the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, North Dakota, South Dakota, and even down into Nebraska. And then we could also see the potential for heavy snowfall for a lot of the New England corridor, potentially extending down into parts of northern Virginia and Maryland, and then we may see some snow flurries extend back into the Ohio River Valley and Michigan. And those are generally the areas that we are expected to see for heavy snowfall. I'm almost 100% positive that the snow totals that the models are currently issuing are completely inaccurate, because I highly doubt we are expected to see potentially upwards of 19 to getting very close to 20 inches of snowfall across the New England corridor. That is extremely inaccurate, but it does go to show that we do have the possibility for heavy snowfall for the New England corridor this week, and I highly doubt we are expected to see above a foot of snowfall for the northern Midwest and the northern Central Plains. Taking a look at our WPC outlooks, mainly focusing on the risk for heavy snowfall that they currently have issued. Keep in mind that we are currently taking a look at the probability for snowfall totals that may reach greater than 4 inches. So we're taking a look at the risk for pretty heavy snowfall across the U.S. And for today, again, as mentioned, we could see the possibility of heavy snowfall for the 3rd, which is today, as well as the 4th, indicated by the risk for heavy snowfall for just a small portion of the northern Central Plains, which does indicate that our snowfall totals are going to be completely inaccurate, but the majority of our heavy snowfall should be more so back into Canada for today and the 4th. And then for our day 2 outlook, which is tomorrow on the 4th, we are expected to see mainly the risk for heavy snowfall that may reach greater than 4 inches, mainly across the northern Rockies there in the northwestern United States. For our day 3 outlook, again, still a lot of the same thing for our northern Rockies. And then taking a look at our day 4 outlook, which is for the 6th, again, heavy snowfall for the northern Central Plains and the northern Midwest there. And then taking a look at the 7th, again, we are expected to see the possibility of a very large snow band on the northern side of a low pressure system, which is going to lead to the potential for very heavy snowfall for the New England corridor there on the 7th. And then as we do move into the 8th and the 9th, we are expected to continue to see snowfall for the New England corridor, but it should be mainly clearing out as we move into the 9th and the 10th. That's all I really had to cover for today. So now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator and join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. If you live in any of the areas that I covered for this week, please stay weather alert for the time being. If you notice anything might have been wrong with this forecast or you'd like to make a suggestion or ask a question, please leave a comment. 3 other channels I highly suggest you check out are One Nation Weather, Weather Watcher, and JaxonWX. Weather Watcher does make videos for Europe if you are interested in those, and hopefully I'll be able to see you guys on Wednesday with the Wednesday update.